Your credit card bill just arrived and you're crying in the bathroom while your neighbor is flying to Paris with the miles he racked up? That's why he's driving a Tesla, and you're still stuck with your 2010 Honda Civic. The middle class and its tragic relationship with plastic cards that could be literal gold mines. Today, we're going to destroy our number one enemy, the middle class's financial ignorance. The same ignorance that makes you think you're doing well in life just because you can split that fake designer bag into 12 installments. Sweetie, this is Duchess Dollars, 35 years old with the face of a 20-year-old, ready to save you from financial mediocrity. A credit card in the hands of the middle class is like giving a Lamborghini to someone who just got their driver's license. A total disaster, darling. That's why Mr. Millionaire, my rich hubby, asked me to explain how sophisticated people really use plastic. Last week I was on my private jet with Warren Buffett, we're super close, and he told me that the American middle class uses credit cards as if they were extra cash. Hello? Wake up. This isn't the Kardashians, where everything is free. This is your real life, and financial drama here is far less glamorous. Did you know the Kardashian sisters make millions just from the credit cards they launch? Meanwhile, you're stuck with your basic card that barely gives you cash back. That's why they're rich, and you're still watching my videos trying to get there. Look, I'll leave several links in the first pinned comment for rich people's products. Not the ones you pretend you can afford. The ones you actually need to start looking rich until you finally become rich. If you're in the middle class, earning between $55,000 and $135,000 per year and you think that's wealthy, then you need a reality check more urgently than I need my monthly Botox. If that's rich, then what is Elon Musk? By the way, he sends you all a kiss. He doesn't know you exist, of course. But I'll say he did because we're besties. Who here still splits the restaurant bill using multiple credit cards? Are you running a charity, darling? If you have more than one card, it should be to maximize benefits, not to divide misery. The middle class loves flashing a black card at the bar but panics when the bill arrives. Pathetic. Subscribe now, turn on notifications, and leave a like if you want to stop crying when your bill arrives and start making your credit card cry for you. We can't lose touch because I have so much to teach you about how to stop being a former financial fool. Last Tuesday, I was in Aspen with my little dog, Chanel. She has more designer clothes than you, by the way. When I got a desperate call from a friend. She had maxed out all her credit cards trying to impress a guy on TikTok. Sweetie, if you need credit to impress someone, you've already failed. Ugly guys with platinum cards are like fake designer bags. They fool you from a distance, but up close, they're a total disaster. Here's the truth the middle class doesn't want to hear. A credit card isn't for buying what you can't afford. It's for making the money you already have work for you. Shocking, I know. Almost as shocking as realizing you can live without ordering Uber Eats every day. Remember, the rich work with glamour, the poor work with sweat, and the middle class works with debt. Let's change that today. Credit cards. Why the elite laughs when you split your Starbucks into 12 payments. Darlings, a recent Federal Reserve study showed that the average American has $6,270 in credit card debt. Pathetic. Credit cards have real advantages, but you use them like they're Disney park tickets where all dreams come true. Adorable and completely tragic. Having 30 days to pay is amazing when you know what you're doing. It's like having a temporary sugar daddy. He pays now, but he'll collect later, darling. The difference? A sugar daddy might forgive you. Amex won't. Did you know that 40% of Americans couldn't cover a $400 emergency without selling something or going into debt? That's because they're too busy financing new iPhones, creating a false sense of wealth, but reality knocks on their door every month with 24% annual interest. One of my clients, yes, I have 2 or 3 just for fun, made $85,000 a year, but had a $90,000 credit limit. She thought she could live like a Kardashian, so she bought designer bags, trips, and fine dining. But she forgot that, unlike me, she actually had to work to pay those bills. Let's be clear. Having a platinum card doesn't make you rich, just like wearing glasses doesn't make you smart. A credit card is a tool, not an extension of your salary. Use it to accumulate points and miles. That's how I flew to Milan 3 times this year without paying a cent. Well, Mr. Millionaire paid, but you get the point. Statistics show that 55% of credit card holders only pay the minimum balance. That's so middle class. It's like renting a Porsche while living in a tiny apartment. Appearances can be deceiving, darling. The average American has 4 credit cards. Why? Because they want to feel important with colorful plastic cards. But they forgot that real power is having money in your bank account, not debt across multiple banks. Here's the harsh truth. Invest in the stock market or in an Hermes bag. The difference? Stocks can multiply your money, while the bag only multiplies your Instagram likes, unless you're me, who buys Hermes as an investment. They've appreciated 500% in 10 years, more than Bitcoin, darlings. Remember, the rich work with glamour, the poor work with sweat, and the middle class works to pay off credit card debt. Which category do you prefer? Now tell me, are you the type who confuses credit limits with your salary? Or are you on the path to becoming a former financial fool? The nightmare of installments. The trap the middle class thinks is a dream. Darlings, have you ever seen that woman at the mall with 3 Sephora bags, 5 from Zara, and a $7 Starbucks coffee? She's financing everything in 12 payments, but she thinks she's living like me. The difference? I pay up front. She pays in installments. So, she looks rich today, but tomorrow she'll be just another hostage to the bank. A creditcards.com study revealed that 23% of Americans will die in debt. That's because they love the illusion of, if the installment fits my budget, I can afford it. But they forget that these payments add up faster than my Birkin collection. My housekeeper, yes, I have several, but this one is my favorite. Don't tell the others. Was so proud because she financed an iPhone 15 Pro Max in 24 tiny payments of $54. Adorable. Meanwhile, she was still paying for 3 other iPhones she no longer even uses. The bank loved this, so they raised her credit limit to $15,000. But now she spends half her salary just covering the minimum payments. Did you know the average American has 54% of their salary tied up in debt? It's like living in a 5-star hotel, but having to sneak out the back window to avoid collections. So embarrassing, darlings. When you finance everything, your credit card turns into a financial black hole sucking not just your money but your dignity. A Bankrate study found that 51% of credit card holders have lost sleep over their debt. That's because they thought they could finance their entire lives, so they never saved money but forgot that banks aren't their friends. They're just well-dressed loan sharks. The sneakiest trick banks play? The minimum payment. It's like a hotel minibar, seems convenient until you see the bill. Banks love when you pay only the minimum, which is why they keep it nice and low. But what they don't tell you? With 25% annual interest, your $2,000 debt can turn into $10,000 in just 3 years. My hubby, Mr. Millionaire, always says, Duchess, the rich pay in full, the middle class finances, and the poor pay the minimum. And for once, he's right. Don't tell him I admitted this. If you financed that Michael Kors dress and are still paying it off when it's already out of style, you're not a fashionista. You're a victim of bank marketing. Is it essential to have a black credit card with your name engraved on it? Of course, darling. But use it like the rich do. Pay everything in full at the end of the month and rack up points to travel for free. The cold, hard truth? 41% of American millennials have had to delay major life events like marriage and having kids because of credit card debt. That's because they were too busy financing Instagram-worthy experiences but forgot to build real wealth. The problem? Life won't wait for your payments to end before it starts sending bills. Want to know how truly rich people use credit cards? They pay the full balance every month, rack up points for first-class travel, and never, ever pay interest. Don't be a financial fool, darling. Use your card like a duchess, not a desperate commoner. And remember, you can finance a couch, but you can't finance peace of mind. Which one do you prefer at the end of the day? How to avoid the credit card trap. Tips from a duchess who has never paid interest. Darling financial minions, have you ever noticed how banks always have a magical solution to your money problems? It's like that toxic ex who promises to change. You believe him, but by Monday he's already texting you drunk at 3 a.m. A Northwestern Mutual study revealed that 34% of Americans believe they will die in debt. That's because they financed an 85-inch TV to watch The Real Housewives in life size. Felt rich for a moment, but now they're eating instant noodles while admiring a TV they can't afford. My grandfather always said, bet on anything in life, except having a debt collector at your door. Of course, my grandfather never had debt collectors, he had butlers, but the advice still applies to you, my adorable broke darlings. The most revolutionary principle. I'll teach you today. If you can't afford it in full, you can't afford it. Shocking, I know. It's like discovering that the Louis Vuitton bag your coworker flaunts in the office came from Canal Street in New York. Devastating for the ego, but essential for your wallet. Mr. Millionaire has a friend who financed a BMW to impress women on Tinder. He got a few matches, but now he lives with his parents because he can't afford both his car and an apartment. Tinder Premium would have been much cheaper, dear. Did you know that 77% of Americans with good credit scores get 50% lower interest rates on mortgages? That's because they've never missed a payment, so banks treat them like I treat my Chanel bags, with love and care. Meanwhile, you treat your credit score like I treat my temporary housekeepers. Disposable. One of my clients, yes, sometimes I work for fun, wanted to finance her first home, but her credit score was so low that her interest rates were rising higher than my helicopter. That happened because she missed a $500 student credit card payment. Now she'll pay $150,000 more over 30 years for the same house. Golden rule: use your credit card like the rich use jewelry, only when you can afford it, and only where everyone can see it. Charge everything to your card to accumulate miles and cashback. You get paid to spend, but pay it off in full every month like it's a divine obligation. A TransUnion study found that people who check their credit score regularly have 15 points higher on average. Checking your credit score is like weighing yourself daily. Painful, but necessary, so you don't wake up one day and realize your debt is as bloated as your bank statements. Is it essential to have a black card? Absolutely. The way the waiter looks at you when you slam that piece of metal on the table? Priceless. Literally, because you'll pay that bill in full when the statement arrives. Secret tip, which I learned. Spying on Mr. Millionaire's accounts? Don't tell him. Before buying anything unnecessary, establish an emergency fund. Mr. Millionaire had an emergency years ago. He had to buy an extra private jet quickly. So he learned the lesson. But you'll probably ignore this advice just like you ignore bank alerts when your bill is overdue. Final truth bomb. The rich pay in full. The middle class finances. The poor pay the minimum balance. It's easier to be born rich like me, but since you weren't that lucky, the only way out is to follow my divine financial wisdom. Now tell me, have you ever had your name on a debt blacklist, or are you still pretending that will never happen to you? Drop your answer in the comments so I can laugh discreetly behind my glass of Dom Perignon. Rich people's credit cards. How to turn plastic into private jets. Darlings, have you ever noticed how the middle class uses credit cards to buy 55-inch TVs, while the rich use them to earn miles and fly around the world in first class? This happened because the common folk are too busy paying interest, never learning the secrets I'm about to share. But you, my fabulous viewer, are about to join the financially privileged club. A J.D. Power study found that only 32% of Americans maximize their credit card benefits. That's because most of them are too busy buying Starbucks every day. So they never realize they could be earning enough cash back to buy a $600 Italian espresso machine in just 6 months. But, of course, you prefer instant gratification, which is why you'll probably never see a helipad in real life. Just yesterday, I was chatting with Mr. Millionaire about how we bought our third private jet using only credit card points. Okay, maybe I'm exaggerating a little. It was just the silk pillows on the jet that were bought with points. But you get the idea. The luxury benefits you're ignoring. Did you know that premium credit cards like the Amex Platinum and Chase Sapphire Reserve offer purchase protection in case you throw your brand new iPhone at the wall after seeing your bank statement? It's almost as useful as having a therapist, but without having to share your problems with strangers. A McKinsey report revealed that premium credit card holders generate 5 times more profit for banks. This happens because these cards have ridiculously high annual fees, so banks think they're scamming us. But what they don't realize is that we use the perks to get back triple the value. Who's scamming who now, sweetheart? How the rich milk their credit cards for every penny. My friend Tiffany, yes, like the jewelry brand, her parents were very visionary, thought paying $550 in annual fees for her credit card was outrageous. But then she realized she could get $200 Uber credits, $200 hotel credits, unlimited airport lounge access, $429 value, rental car insurance. Now she saves over $800 per year while feeling powerful as she slams that metal card on the table for dramatic effect. Is it essential? Absolutely, darling. Airport lounges, the VIP rooms of the financial elite. An airport lounge is like Taylor Swift's backstage area. Not everyone gets in. So those inside feel like they've finally made it. But unlike a Taylor Swift concert, there are no screaming teenagers. And the champagne is free. And guess what? Your credit card gets you in. A Value Penguin study found that smart credit card users earn an average of $4,000 in rewards over 5 years. They strategically choose different cards for different spending categories, maximizing their points. But, of course, this requires a level of organization that most of you don't even have for booking a dentist appointment. Final power move. Use your card like a weapon. Invest in the stock market. Or use your card to rack up enough points to dine at the same Michelin-starred restaurants where Wall Street investors celebrate their million-dollar bonuses. It's basically the same thing, right? Use your Amex like a weapon, with precision and knowing exactly where to aim it. A credit card is like a rich and generous boyfriend, amazing when you know how to manage him, disastrous when you lose control. Tell me in the comments, what's the best credit card perk you've ever used? Or are you still in the group that thinks credit cards are just for paying Netflix? Who should not have a credit card? Shopaholics, dreamers, and other financially extinct species. Darlings, have you ever noticed how some people handle credit cards the same way 5-year-olds handle an all-you-can-eat candy store? Banks hand out credit as easily as I hand out unsolicited advice. Anyone can get a card these days, but not everyone should have one. Just like not everyone should wear a micro mini after 50, unless you have J-Lo's legs, of course. A Federal Reserve study found that 40% of Americans couldn't cover a $400 emergency without selling something or going into debt. Sweetheart, if you don't have $400 for an emergency, a piece of plastic with a $5,000 limit in your hands is like giving a flamethrower to a blindfolded pyromaniac. Who should never own a credit card? My housekeeper, Consuela. No, it's not racist. That's actually her name. I checked her work ID twice to avoid lawsuits. Told me she was paying for Netflix, Disney+, HBO Max, Hulu, Paramount+, Apple TV+, and even a gardening channel she didn't know she had. The free for 30 days trick got her hooked. She clicked on everything, but she forgot to cancel, so now she's spending $148 per month on streaming, while working 3 jobs to pay her bills. If you're the type who sees a dress in a store window and instantly imagines it in your closet, even when your budget is tighter than my Dior corset, cut up your credit card right now. A CNBC study found that 55% of credit card holders don't know their interest rate. That's because the fine print is smaller than Mr. Millionaire's patience when I talk about my shopping sprees. No one reads it, but they find out the hard way when their debt triples in a year. The FTC reported that Americans lost $5.8 billion to credit card fraud last year. Your digital bank will notify you the second you buy a $5 latte, making you feel safe. But when someone spends $3,000 on crypto in Romania, they respond, "Are you sure it wasn't you? It seems like your usual spending pattern." My friend Brittany, yes, obviously born in the 90s, had her credit card cloned, and someone bought 5 flights to Dubai. The bank refused to refund her because she had a history of international purchases. Sweetheart, buying a Burberry scarf from the UK website is not the same as planning an expedition to the Middle East. How to protect yourself like a rich person. Use virtual credit cards for online shopping. It's like using protection in relationships. Less fun, but prevents nasty surprises 9 months later. Scratch off the security code on the back of your physical card, unless you want to accidentally finance a yacht for the waiter who memorized your card details while you were distracted, sipping your Aperol Spritz. The final reality check. If your bank balance is always closer to 0 than I am to a department store, a credit card will only bury you deeper. Using a credit card when you can't manage money is like wearing 6-inch heels when you can't even walk in flats. You'll just end up falling from a greater height. The rich use credit cards for perks. The middle class uses credit cards to look rich. The poor use credit cards to survive until their next paycheck. Which category do you belong to, darling? A message to my future rich minions. Now that you've learned all my divine credit card secrets, you're one step closer to joining the financially privileged club. But beware, the banking system was built to suck your money away, just like my latest aesthetic procedure sucked my black card dry. You can turn that piece of plastic into your personal money-making machine. Points, miles, VIP airport lounges, it's all possible for you. The rich know how to use the system to their advantage, so they keep getting richer. But the middle class keeps buying overpriced coffee and financing iPhones. If you learned nothing else today, remember this. The rich pay in full, collect points, and never pay interest. The poor pay the minimum, become bank slaves, and think they're smart because they have a high credit limit. Are you acting like a broke middle-class dreamer or a future rich queen? Your next step to financial royalty. If you want to take your wealth journey to the next level, you need to watch my video. The Japanese Secret to Saving $100,000 Fast and Getting Rich. The Japanese have a savings method that makes credit cards look like a joke. This technique completely changed how Mr. Millionaire and I saved money even before we met. Now show me you're serious, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications. Leave a like if you're done being middle class and ready to be truly rich. I left a pinned comment with links to essential products that every wealthy woman needs. Yes, including that $300 face cream I use every morning. Absolutely essential. Comment below. Rich with style. If you're applying at least one of the tips I taught you today. And please, darling, the next time you only pay the minimum on your credit card bill, remember, your bank manager is buying a Prada bag with the interest you're paying. Would you rather finance her luxury or your own?